up, everybody? Once again, it's Brian, man, Sean, and I got a very, very special guest for you guys today. And I know I say that every time, but this is even more special because this guy right here, that beat that you guys hear for that new intro that everybody's going crazy over, that is this guy right here. His name is Malex. He is a producer. He's 3 times platinum award winning. Did I get that right?
Quadruple
Platinum. Producer, got a Grammy, all that good stuff, but he has a long a true story in this music industry, ups and downs, so much to offer you guys, just for insight from his personal experience, and that's what we're going to get into, right? Winning Grammys, going platinum, all those things sound great, but then you have to get there. How does that happen, and what does that look like? It looks different for different people, and we're going to touch on all those things and any other things that he's so gracious to give. Malex, what is up, man?
What's good, Sean? How you doing, man?
Good, man. First of all, of course, appreciate you for even doing this, man. And Medallion, what's that? I get distracted sometimes. What's that shirt from? Is that your own brand?
Oh, yeah. Actually, this is my brother's brand. My younger brother owns the world's largest sneaker and streetwear expo. It's called Kickspo. Shameless plug. And then this is the clothing line that he has that goes along with it.
Wait, hold up. It's the world's largest what?
Sneaker and streetwear expo.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my younger brother, man. He's actually a really dope rapper too, but he kind of gave that up. He hung the mic up. But for the most part, yeah, I'm proud of him, man. He started this thing about 10 years ago. Him and the guy who's my brand manager, he's actually partnered with him. And it's all family, man. It's all crew that used to all rap together, and now we own businesses and do all that fun.
Hey, man, so, I need to learn more about that streetwear.
They sponsor your boy, you know what I mean? So I make sure I give him that credit where it's due.
Hey, man, tell him to put me on, man.
Yeah, of course.
But all right, cool, man. Let's get into your story, man. You matter of fact, when did you start taking producing seriously? How long ago was that?
Man, that's kind of a loaded question. I always take it seriously. That's the thing. I'm a competitive person, so I started producing when I was about 18, and it was just really out of the need for me to get some dope beats because I didn't have the money to pay anybody to get beats, and I was a rapper. So, it's like, okay, you save up a little bit of money, buy you a little piece of gear, and start getting into it. See where it goes. And so now I didn't start doing it full time until about 2002. Yeah, about 2002 is when I started doing it full time. And then of course it's that, like I said, that's a loaded question because it was off and on. It was music full time, and then it was back to IT work because music wasn't panning out. There was music full time, and then back to IT work and whatever else I could do, odd jobs,
Okay,
trying to make ends meet. So yeah, I've always taken it seriously, but it doesn't always take you seriously.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point because even after people say they take it serious, a lot of times it takes years for them to actually get to a point where it's sustainable for them. All right.
Yeah.
And for you, I know that you're a producer, you've engineered. Obviously, you got the big awards with Eminem. How did you what's a good way to say this? In terms of your entry into the industry portion, right? We know you were producing or you were engineering, you were doing certain things as far as mentally you were taking it seriously. But what was that point where you started to become involved in the industry, getting these heavy placements and just really starting to see what the business looks like?
Well, that's one of those things I always have to clarify because all my industry accolades came from, well, most of them, the majority of them came from engineering. So I used to do a lot of engineering for S1. He doesn't really need my services much these days. He's got a whole bunch of people around him. But back in the day, yeah, I used to engineer for him. I actually opened a studio here in Dallas, and he was actually one of my clients. He was a friend first, but he became one of my clients, and he would bring his people through when he was getting started. And You know, that just kind of like started a friendship and, you know, working together. And then, you know, the M&M placement came from him. He produced the track and I did engineering on it. And so my placements came from working with him in that aspect. And then once I got the Grammy, actually just slightly before I got the Grammy, I think when the album went double platinum, my wife and I just decided, hey, you know, we might as well, you know, take another shot, you know, and get back into the industry. I love engineering, but it's never really been my passion. You know, it's never really been like, oh, I want to do this for the rest of my life. That was always producing.
Yeah.
So I knew, like, you know, when you work for a producer that's talented and he's already making waves, like there's not really much room for you to be there. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't be that dude that was like, every time, you know, he had an artist come through that I'm engineering, yo, check out my beats. You know, that's just bad business.
Yeah.
You know, I had to stay in my lane and be an engineer. And so I knew that in order for me to be noticed as a producer, I had to kind of step out of that and go my own way. And so that's what I've been doing, man. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it all got started is, you know, I was already doing things, but working with him got that next level up and it got me to see behind the curtain, you know? So when you have a Grammy, people that weren't willing to talk to you before are now willing to talk to you. That makes sense. It's like, I guess the closest thing I could relate to it is like, you know, if somebody says they're a doctor, you're going to trust what they have to say about medicine, right? And about health.
Yeah.
You know, and your Grammy may not even be about producing. Your Grammy may be for songwriting, but another producer will come up to you and be like, "Oh, you have a Grammy? Okay, let's talk to you. Let's chop it up. Let's see what."
Yeah.
And so that in itself helped me to open doors in other areas and helped me to start getting my foot in the door as a producer.
Dope. That is wild because I actually dropped a video probably like 2 days ago where I said that the purpose of getting a Grammy, because someone asked me, is our Grammy still relevant? I said, at the very least, it's like a college degree where it's a brand move, right? Like you have one, then it elevates your status. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And I think I don't like to use the phrase gift and a curse because it's not a curse. You know, it is a gift, but there are downsides to it. The downsides to it are you start getting people hitting you up thinking that you can make their dream a reality. And in reality, you might still be working on your dream. Just because you have a Grammy, it doesn't change that. You know, like Grammy doesn't make a career. You know, it just means that, hey, nobody will ever be able to take away that I'm a Grammy winner. So I can always say Grammy Award winner Malex, right? But that doesn't mean that, you know, Willy Wonka is going to show up with golden tickets every day. You know what I mean? You still have to grind and you still have to put in work. You have to make that work for you, you know?
Okay. What is that experience like? Like as you came into the industry, right? So let's get more into this unfolding of, I know you started off as a studio owner. So it's like you're an entrepreneur off the bat. Like you're coming from that approach and having your own thing. You're bringing in all these people. You work with S1 and you start to get these placements. I remember when we talked before, you said one thing that you didn't even understand, like when you learned about, I can't remember which placement, but it was a big placement. And you didn't understand it. You were like, when am I going to get my money? And you didn't understand that you don't get your money immediately.
Oh, that was the M&M placement. That was the M placement. Like, you know, S always would he'd throw me something, you know, up front for like the hourly. Yeah. But I really didn't know the game. I really didn't know that you don't really make back end points as an engineer. And so on one hand, I'm sitting here looking at it like, yo, like, this is it. This is going to change my life. Like, yo, we about to be paid, you know? And then later on, I don't remember how it all went down, but I started doing some research online, like how much should an engineer get on a placement? Like I started then doing the work when I really should have did the work ahead of time. And you know, to be honest, it probably wouldn't have changed anything because as an engineer, you still want to engineer that kind of project. Yeah. You know, but it's like it's like, and I think they're trying to change it now where engineers, you know, they get points or they get a percentage, but unless you're like a marquee player, like you're not going to get any kind of back end anything as an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, you get your upfront money, you're a work for hire basically. And so it was that duality of being excited because I'm getting plaques and I got the Grammy nomination and then the Grammy win, and you know, you're excited about those things, and I'm super grateful for them. I mean, they're people that live their whole life in the music industry and they're praying for Grammys and they don't ever get one. But they may have a long list of like major placements that they had, but still never win a Grammy. Like, so I'm humbled and honored that I got it. But as I was going through the process of getting it, it was one of those moments where it was like, man, I really couldn't connect in my head. Like, okay, I got a Grammy coming, but I don't have enough money to pay my mortgage on my house. Like, I got a wife and 2 kids. Like, I'm trying to feed my family, but you know, so yeah. It really, if it did anything, it leveled me up, obviously, but it also took me to a point where I had to realize that, okay, I don't know everything I think I know.
Yeah.
And I heard it once said that whenever you step into a new arena, you have to humble yourself and become a student again. And ultimately, that's what I had to do, because I was like, I know how things work on an independent level, but then I had to start working on like elevating my mindset, like how to deal with placements, how publishing works, how songs are released. And ultimately that led me to the conclusion that, I mean, I should just do it myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's the long road. It's the long, hard road. But yeah, I mean,
okay.
I don't know if that answers the question or not, but man, I mean, yeah, it's complex. It's a very complex question, you know, or a very complex answer anyway.
So what's that like when I mean, like you said, you already have to go through this realization that you got the game all messed up as far as how you thought it should and would go, yeah. But you still want to continue to foster your relationships. You still want to try to leverage that name. Did you go through any period of like, am I going to continue to do this at all? Were you mad at people? Like, how did that go?
I mean, it was more along the lines of, okay, let me look at the blessing in this, because it's a tremendous blessing. Now let me figure out how to work this angle to turn it into a paycheck. That was my mentality. And so I started doing things like, I would invite musicians and artists from around the city to my house, and we'd have these like crazy writing sessions, and I would make beats and co-write songs and record, mix them. I mean, I did everything in my house. And at one point I had 2 studios in my house, and we were having these sessions, man, with a lot of local Dallas talent, man. There's a lot of talent in the city. And my mentality was, let me just make some bomb records, and then I can use my mouthpiece to open doors, you know, off of the Grammy, to see if I can't at least make some connections that can make some things go. And I made quite a few connections. You know, I had a team out in LA that I was working with, another team in London that I was working with. And, you know, things were looking real good from a creative perspective.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Huh?
It sounded like it was a but there, though.
Yeah. I mean, because you know, when you're doing it like that, you don't have an advance from anybody.
Okay.
You don't have a big label saying, "Yo, here's $100,000. You know, make something happen." So while I'm trying to make these records, I'm making connections with A&Rs. I'm making connections with people that are on the inside of these major labels. I'm sending songs off. I'm trying to get artists signed. The artists sometimes would kind of give me a headache, and I'm sure I gave them a headache too, because they really didn't know. They were at that same kind of thing where they needed to be educated on certain things, and I didn't really have the capacity to do that for them. You know, I was just going to try to help them get in the door. It's just it's a lot. It's a big tangled spider web of things that happen, and ultimately while you're doing that, you have to have some other kind of income coming in while you're making these records.
What'd you do for income?
Well, you know, I do everything. I do from start to finish. I write, I produce, I record, I mix, master. I can do your photography. I can do videography. I can do websites. Like, I can do the whole thing.
So you got
so people would pay me to do their whole album. And then, you know, they would either do the album and put it out, or they would do the album and then something else would happen. They'd try to go off and get a deal somewhere, and then it wouldn't pop, and then they would quit, because everybody's dealing with their own mental things, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's really frustrating when you got an artist that you like work with for 2 years, you mentor and you bring him or her up, and then they get to the point where they want to quit. And then it's like, okay, all this time and money I invested in it are out the window, time to start over.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, man. A lot of that going on.
Well, I remember that you mentioned something one time where you were talking about reproducing records. Like, can you walk me through that scenario? It was something like you mentioned that you would kind of go over a little bit more later, but I think it was like you sent the record to a chick, and then I don't remember. It might have been a big artist too, but
I think that was kind of like the realization that I had when I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know if I can do this. I think that was, we were talking about placements. We were talking about, you know, you sit along that same vein. I'm making these records. I'm sending records off, and understand my position. I'm in between these major labels / A&Rs, and then these artists that have these hopes and dreams that want to go somewhere, and they're working with me, and we're making these records that we believe in.
Yeah.
And then we're sending them off to these A&Rs. We're sending them off to these labels, and a homie who knows a homie who's got a play cousin that's in wherever, and we're sending these records off. And then, you know, 6 months later, we're not hearing nothing back, and we're like, okay, dang. And I mean, a lot of these were communication from the A&R first. Like, yo, make a record that sounds like this. You know, it has to have a big hook, melodic, blah, blah, blah. And they give you all this criteria, and you put it all together, and you work, you grind, like you're up late nights, you're up early mornings, you're grinding it out, and you make these records, and then you send them off. And then, now, first of all, it's bad enough when you don't hear anything back, because then you're just like, man, I just like dead in the water, you know? But on the flip side, what's worse is we sent a few records off, and shortly after those records got sent off, and we had the right criteria and everything, and I'm not going to air out who it was, but it's a very big artist, and she dropped a record that sounded almost identical to the one that we sent, but it was changed just enough to where it was like, okay, it's got the same vibe, but we're probably not going to be able to do anything about this one. Like, they know what they're doing, and, you know, and they got their own producers on staff. These labels, they got producers that they've already poured money into. And so sometimes it's easier for them to just go, you know what? We're already here in the studio, in the city where the artist is. Let's just go ahead and make something that sounds like this record, and with somebody that's already under our umbrella. And that's a stab to the heart. That was a stab to the heart, smack in the face. And, you know, to be honest, it was so hurtful that it was like, okay. Oh, to add insult to injury, the guy that I co-produced the record with, that I sent it off with, he no longer talked to me anymore.
He just stopped talking to you?
As if it was, I don't know. I still, to this day, I don't know if I did anything to him, or if he was just like, nah, I'm throwing my hands up and this is over. Like, he won't answer calls. He won't answer texts, like, done. And I look, you know, as a man, I'm looking at myself like, yo, did I do something to offend this dude? Like, what's going on? Like, all the connections were his. I sent the stuff through him. You know, he asked me to help him. I sent it through him. The record comes out. It sounds exactly like our stuff. And then he stopped talking to me. So I'm like, I don't
That's
know.
wild.
I don't know.
Wow.
And I'm at the point now in my career, if you can't tell now, like I'm not trying to say no names. I'm not trying to like bring anybody down, but there's a lot of people out there that are just out for themselves, and I'm trying my best not to be that person.
Yeah.
So and the only way I can do that is to not swim with the sharks. I can just stay here. Like I've got my whole studio set up here, got everything I need, and I just decided, hey, I'm gonna start doing the beat leasing game. I'm gonna start, flipping beats on my own, putting out my own projects. And I put out my first one last year. I actually put out two projects last year, two EPs with two very young, talented female artists, and yeah, and they're doing pretty well right now. So we're just gonna keep riding that.
So those experiences drove you to the point where you're like, yo, I'm done. I'm going to sell these beats online, go around the industry,
Yeah.
and just build that way.
And I'm not naive enough to think that if somebody liked one of my beats, some major liked my beat, and they wanted to place it, that I would like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not playing. If a major comes along and they do want one of my records and they are willing to, pony up for it and do the right thing, then I'm down. But outside of that, like, we live in an age now where you can make so much money just hustling on the internet.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing for a minute, and I've just been trying to stay low key and do it that way.
So what's it been like since you've been hustling on the internet then? Well, actually, what was like, didn't you start some other businesses before too?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's all under the same umbrella, but like I've done sound design. I do sound design, so sample kits and things like that. Just doing, like I said, all the other side gigs have always been around. Doing, I get hit up by somebody who needs a website. I do tech support, like, producers come to me and they're like, yo, my hard drive crashed, like everything's gone, bro. And I know how to fix that kind of stuff. So
Got you.
So just doing side gigs, man, and here and there. And my wife is my partner, so she goes out and she hustles. That woman right now is holding down 3 jobs by herself. And I mean, it is what it is, man. We grind,
I remember you had an interesting perspective of, I think it was, what is it? Like the content ID system, like how you drop these tracks on beat. You actually look at like dropping beats online as a way to like copyright yourself or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's I guess that's a way to simplify that, but yeah, ever since the content ID system has been out, like you can drop your beats directly onto YouTube and put them under the content ID system, and then somebody decides to steal your track and they want to put that out there. I mean, anybody who knows anything about the music industry knows that, like, if somebody steals your track and they put it up there and they got like 400 views on it, I mean, what you gonna do, sue? Like, wait, it's not making anything. It's making less than a cent at that point. But you have options. You can either make it to where the content ID system monetizes their stuff. So, for example, okay, so we submitted the beat to your show, right? And we did the contest and we won. Okay, great. Now, if you had just gone, let's just say you had gone to my Beats by Maliks site and you downloaded the beat and you just decided to use it for your own video without asking me.
Yeah.
Right. Not that you would ever do that, but
of course not. Of course.
Let's say that's what you did.
Yeah.
I can then go through the content ID system. I don't even have to confront you. I can send you an email and be like, yo, man, you got to pay for a license or something. Or I could just go through content ID, and I got 2 options. I could either send you a cease and desist, where YouTube will handle it for me. They'll just pull your videos down. Or I can just do the content ID system and monetize it so that every time your video plays, I get paid for that through YouTube.
Oh.
And so for me, I'm like, look, I don't care if you steal it. or buy it. If I get paid, I'm good. Because I'm about feeding my family. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Like I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I'm not trying to be. I just want to be able to make music for the rest of my life. This is what I like to do.
Oh.
You know. So I'm not trying to take anybody to court. I'm not trying to get into all that business. Look, pay me my money. You know. And content ideas. What I mean, it is what it is. You know.
And that works with YouTube, but does that work with Spotify too? Like, is that all the same system?
No, it's not. But there are services. There's companies out there that will take care of that for you. Like I have what is the name I go through? I go through Song Trust. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I go through Song Trust, and Song Trust will collect on those royalties for you. They'll collect on those things, and obviously, if you find something out there that's unauthorized. And that they overlooked. I mean, there's ways to go about that. I mean, you're not going to catch 100% of everything out there if you start blowing up and people are starting to download your stuff. Like there are some things that slip through the cracks, but for the most part, if you got the net in the ocean and you pull it in and you got a big catch of fish, you're not worried about if a couple of them slip through the net. That's the way I look at it.
Got you. And I remember you mentioned something earlier about UK. Are you still working over in the UK too?
I haven't been out there for a while, but I'm working with FH Block, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, label in the UK. I have a good relationship with the owners, and I can release music through them if I want to. I can release music through my own label worldwide. I have my own publishing company, my own label. Mm-hmm. And there's some really great people over there at FH Block, and they Naughty Boy is on FH Block. My other homie Ads Valou, he used to come down to Dallas and work with me, and then I'd go out to London and work with him. And so a lot of good people out there, man. They always treat me right when I go out there, but I haven't been out there lately because I've been on this new thing. So
the internet thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So what do you think it'll take you to actually get the internet store to where you want to? Because, I mean, you're having some success, obviously. I mean, you already
it's working
for yourself and everything. So what's the goals with that? Just to get it bigger and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, it's working. It's working. The plan is working great. It's a process. I had to do the same thing. I had to, again, humble myself and become a student. Like a lot of these young producers, I mean, where I came up, man, I got a really nice studio, man. I used to have mixed boards and all that stuff, and I still have quite a bit of gear, but I'm looking at these young producers coming up and I'm like, man, these dudes they're not even using a MIDI keyboard. Matter of fact, we did a project here in Dallas about, I guess it was like 3 or 4 years ago now. And that was when you heard of Medicine?
The artist or a song?
Yeah, he's a DJ producer kind of guy.
I've seen the name around, but I don't know much about it.
He's a big deal now. Back then, we were doing some project at a studio in Deep Ellum in Dallas. And I remember this kid walked in with a gaming PC. He brought in a PC tower. Everybody else was bringing MacBooks and stuff. He brought in a PC tower and his monitor and his mouse. And he connected it in the main room. And I didn't know this kid from Adam. Like, I have a lot of friends that know him some that actually went to high school with him, but I think he was like 17 or 18 at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, like, I'm watching this dude, and he's got Fruity Loops, and he's writing in all his melodies. He's drawing them all in, and he's drawing in his drum patterns, and he's drawing in this and that, and I'm just like, and it's some of the most amazing stuff I had ever heard. And then I didn't talk to him again. Like, we weren't friends or anything. I don't know him like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, you blew my mind. Like, that's crazy. I've never seen anybody do that. And that's coming from a guy who's highly technical, who started out producing when Fruity Loops, FL Studio, Fruity Loops was version 2, I believe. Like, I started producing on computers, and other cats that had MPCs and ASR 10s, like they were coming to me asking like how to get started producing on a computer. And so now I'm fast forward, I'm seeing this 18-year-old kid. I'm like, I'm not being disrespectful calling him a kid. I mean, I'm looking at it like, yo, I'm old enough to be this dude's dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's in here killing it with a computer, like just the computer. And so I had to kind of readjust my thinking. I think that's when it all kind of started. Like, do I really need all this stuff? You know what I mean? And so now I'm looking at it like, yo, these kids are out here winning with a laptop and FL Studio. So let me see what that's about. And that's when I started getting into like the beat leasing, doing the research. I got under a couple of mentors like, you know, Dope Boys Music. They're good friends of mine. Epic the Dawn, like, you know, these guys, like, they kind of gave me game, you know, on it, and was like, okay, I see what you're doing, but you should probably do this, and you should probably do this. And then that whole time, I've got the well-respected producer community was kind of like, you know, I'm just sitting back watching on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and I'm seeing all these bombs dropping about online beat producers, you know, online beat leasing and stuff like that, how it's cheapening the craft and how it's disrespectful and like all this stuff. And I was like, man, like I can see both sides of the coin. I can see how the old guard wanted to keep that on lock, but the new guard is here. The age of the internet is here. And it's like, now you're seeing these internet producers who click up and they start taking over YouTube, and then somebody at a label notices and they go sign the whole crew. That happened with Internet Money, right?
Oh,
there. And like, you know, I follow Taz Taylor. Like this dude, you know, he was talking about how he ain't even putting beats online anymore. Like the old beats are still up there, but he ain't even trying to play that game anymore because he's now doing the major placements. You know,
he started there.
But he started there, and he really, you know, I don't really know his whole story, but it didn't seem like he had to, because he was making 6 figures a year, easy, you know, off of just online beat selling.
Yeah.
Then he goes over to that. So I've just been sitting back and watching and just researching. That I'm that kind of dude. I love to learn.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay, I could spend all this time making beats for other people that, you know, they're telling me they need this and that for this artist. I can make those beats, send them off. And then if they pick them, if they cut a record to them, maybe it comes out next year. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it gets dropped on a mixtape. That's a whole nother conversation. Maybe in 2 years, I see some money from that. I'm like, okay, meanwhile, my kids are looking at me like, Dad, I'm hungry. You know, my daughter's in college. Like, I need a car. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I was like, okay, you know what? I'd rather just get up every day, make beats, send them off to where I want to send them off, put them on my website, lease them. You know, it's a way for me to create this ecosphere of my own creation. If that makes sense.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to bow to anybody. I can sit in here and do my own thing. I'm completely independent. Nobody's pulling my strings, and it's a great feeling, you know?
Perfect. So just to close things out, man, because I mean, somebody who starts on the grind, trying to get any kind of break, then you get like the break of breaks in a sense when it comes to, you know, getting the Grammy, big record, huge record. What record was that again? Just so you know.
It was Bad Guy by Eminem. It was on the Marshall Mathers LP too.
There we go. Yeah.
It was produced by S1, M Phases, and then Sarah Jaffe sung the hook on it.
I should have asked that earlier.
Shout out to all of them. Yeah.
But yeah, so then you have that. Then you go through the learning phase of the industry for yourself. And, you know, it's like, oh man, I got this big break that I thought it was a big break, but it's not really a big break. I'm learning you have some bad taste in your mouth, but then you come back and say, you know what, I'm going this new wave. You know, I didn't get all of I wanted out of the last wave. Now I'm on this new wave. What's your advice to artists, well, producers really today, in terms of what approach they should take. Should I go towards placement? Should I not go towards placements? Or either way, like what mentality should they be moving with?
I say do both. I mean,
Okay.
it won't hurt you to do both. Like if you're sitting around making beats every day, then you should have enough beats to put on your website to lease or sell exclusive that way. And you have the other batch that you kind of keep stashed away, your fire, or when you got those connects that really need that from you and they ask for that, then you can send them that, you know. And then if they don't get back to you within a whatever time is comfortable for you, you could always take those beats and then put them on your website. Still your intellectual property. And it's like, for me, that's, I mean, you might as well do it that way instead of grinding and making beats and sending them off and then going to work at a gas station. You know, no disrespect to anybody that works at gas stations, but you know what I'm saying? If you're going to work a job, if you got to grind anyway, you might as well grind on something that's going to bring you some kind of income every week.
Okay. So yeah, perfect. I only ask that because I've talked to a lot of producers who feel like them doing online beats is a bad look for their brand. So they think them doing out online beats is going to keep them from getting somewhere in the industry. But you're saying that's not the fact. As a matter of fact, you talked about internet money. So you're saying it's not a fact. I
mean, but yeah, it's all in the eye of the beholder, man. Like, and your perspective. If you're a cat that like I've always been a huge fan of Illmind. Like Illmind was one of my favorite producers.
Yeah.
And I remember he said something online about I think he had just interviewed Taz Taylor and all that. And I'm watching from a distance. I don't know any of these guys. I'm just watching and just learning. And I remember him saying something like, do you want to create timeless music, or do you want to create something like cookie cutter that is going to be flash in the pan and gone tomorrow, or something like that with no creativity? Like, and I was like, that's a polarizing statement. And it's kind of like, it depends on your perspective, because a lot of these guys think they're making timeless music, and it might end up being timeless music. But you're saying that just because it's like a quick beat make kind of thing, like in leasing, like that it's not going to be timeless at some point. I forget what I said to him, but I tweeted something to him. And then I remember shortly after that, and I don't think my tweet had anything to do with this, but I remember shortly after that, he did another interview with Taz or something like that. And his position had changed. And I think it was because he and the way he explained it in his video, and I'm sure the video is still out there, I think he started realizing that, like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was, right? From an industry perspective. Yeah. The leaser is not really doing as much harm to the industry as we think they're doing. And then from the beat leasing side, I think they started looking at it like, okay, I've got some legit placements. Like, maybe the industry isn't as bad as I thought it was. So I think it's just perspective, man. I think whatever you can deal with, and, you know, you got lawyers and, you know, people that got your back. You know, if you got your team solid, you know, I think you can make it, you know, both ways. But for me and my sanity and what I'm going through and what I've been through, I just feel like beat leasing and marketing to the masses was better for my brand than trying to act like, oh, I'm Grammy winner, you know, like, you know what I mean? Trying to just flex.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those dudes, you know?
That's crazy that you said it that way though, man, because when you talked about talking about how the industry found out is not as, well, at least in Illmind found out is not as bad as he thought it was, and vice versa, it sounds like a bunch of fear mongering, right? It's you know what I mean? In the same way people do with Democrats and Republicans or race wars and things like that. You know what I mean? It's like so much of it is really just a fear of being done away with. Yeah.
Fear of being shunned, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is one thing I know. I'm gonna tell you this. again, I'm not dropping no names.
Okay.
But I know for a fact that there are at least 3 people I know of, 3 major producers that I know of that I just found out about this year. They're actually leasing beats online through a different name. I'll leave that right there.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, okay, I'm an established producer, and it might be 3 to 6 more months before I get another placement. And then I'm turning around, I'm looking at BeatStars and Airbit and all this, and I'm seeing these kids pulling in, 5 figures a month. I got to get some of that coin. Like, I got it. Like, who wouldn't? But at the same time, it's like, yo, if I'm a multi-platinum Grammy-winning producer, blah, 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 if I put myself out there like that I'm leasing beats, then that might discredit me a bit. I think that's where their mind state is. But when I look at it, I'm like, yo, what's the alternative? I'm sure you got thousands of beats sitting on your hard drive.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality.
To me, that's pride, bro. That's just pride.
I mean, that's the reality. And then it's like a brand management thing, right? You dilute the brand in some people's eyes if they found out I can get your beat for, I don't know, $300. So I'm not going to pay you $10,000 for this beat. Like, it's just the nature of beats, I guess.
But look, man, it's economics 101, right?
100%.
If I go, look, if I can go up the street to, let's say, Tom Thumb. There's a store here called Tom Thumb, right? It's a grocery store. I don't know if y'all have that out there. Anyway, it's notorious for having a little bit higher prices for what they got. Really nice store, right?
Yeah.
You got this other store called Aldi, and it's like low price. You know what I mean? I love Aldi because I go in there, I get some good food, I get it for the low, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if Aldi started carrying all the same products that Tom Thumb was carrying, would people still go to Tom Thumb?
Nope. For the most part.
Huh?
For the most part. See, to me, that's a nuance.
But see, I think that's a trick question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would still go to Tom Thumb just out of pride alone.
I was about to say, that's a nuance question. From a commodity standpoint, the people just thinking economically, you'll have a lot of people who wouldn't, or they would still. But then for the people who are going for aura, the feeling of, I'm on this other thing, I'm a higher class and things like that. They're not gonna go.
All the flexers are gonna stay going to that other store. They're
gonna stay going to Tom Thumb or look down on Tom Thumb and go somewhere else that's still lying to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's what I always told people that, like, because I had a few people come at me when I started doing like this online beat leasing thing. Like, yo, how can you do that, man? Like, your beats are fire, and you should be selling them a lot higher. And I'm like, okay, well, I could sell these for $5,000 and maybe get like 2 sales a year, or I could sell these joints or lease them for $25 a pop and keep all the rights and release them 1,000 times if I want to. Right. And so they were like, nah, but you're cheapening the craft or whatever. And I was like, look, do you think the Jordan line is worried about Converse?
Yeah.
Look, if you, and I love Converse, by the way, if you're the type of person that likes to rock your Chucks, you weren't going to buy J's anyway. Either you didn't want to spend that bread, or you don't like the shoes, or you don't have the bread to begin with.
Right.
But that doesn't cheapen the Jordan brand. Right? If you were not going to buy a beat for $5,000 from me anyway, then what does it matter if I'm leasing beats? At least this way, now we can work together. Whereas before, that would have been the end of the phone call. Man, Malex feeling himself too much. He's trying to sell tracks for 5 G's. I ain't got money like that. I got bills to pay, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Hey man, can you come down on the price? Yeah, cool. Go to the website, cop a lease, $25. You want the high end, you want the stems, do 75, 100, whatever. Like that's more affordable for people, and then they can get their music out. They may or may not turn into something. And if they turn into something down the road, they might remember that you were able to work with them and give them quality beats when they couldn't afford it from somebody else.
That's real. That's real. Dope. Is there any last things that you want to say as far as where you want people to follow you? Of course, I know you want them to check out the beat store. What's all those links and some just
Of course.
things
Beats by Maliks everywhere. The beat site is beatsbymaliks.com, and then follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I'm out there, and I'm actually can I plug my show?
Whatever you need to, bro.
I'm about to start live streaming every Thursday and Saturday on Twitch. And so follow me on Beats by Maliks everywhere, and you'll start to see all the promo this weekend.
On Twitch.
On Twitch.
Hey, it's not a lot of guys doing that like that on Twitch just yet. Yeah. That has to be interesting, man. You guys follow that.
Yep. And let me tell you why I did that. I did that because I get a lot of DMs and, yo, man, we got to collab. And man, I see your studio on Instagram. Like there's pictures of my studio up there, and people, yo, I got to get in there. Yes and no, because I don't let everybody in my house. But, sometimes they want to just learn from me. They want to learn EQing tricks. They want to learn the engineering side of things. They want to learn how I make beats. And so I just decided, man, let me just do this on Twitch. And it's my way of giving back because you can tune in live for free,
Dope.
And you can ask questions in the chat. You can talk to me, talk back to you. It's going to be really interactive and real cool. So,
hey, sounds like a move. I might have to tune into one of those, man. Hey, everybody. As always, we want to know what you guys think. Put that stuff in the comment section below. You'll see all of Maliks' stuff on the screen and in the comment section below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like, you might as well share it. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button.